our viewers, a lot of them do not want to live under the Chinese Communist Party umbrella. And this is important, you know?
Right.
And I know that our history in Europe is a difficult topic for many people because we've had our fair share of communism, of fascism, of living under dictators. Hitler was a dictator. And no question, he suppressed other parties, which makes it a communism in that sense, where only one party is like dominant and the views of the other parties are being suppressed. But a lot of you guys, you're like looking to get away from that. You don't want to live under the CCP umbrella. And I'm getting emails like literally every week, Susanna, from people that are like, where can I go? I don't want to live under the CCP influence. And the CCP has had impact even on Eastern Europe. It's incredible. Montenegro, there are big construction projects there, unfinished, where Montenegro asked for help from the European Union that they wanted to pull out from the CCP commitment because they saw what it led to. How the system works is that when the CCP borrows money to a nation for a certain amount of time, it's like you're getting a loan from a bank. If you can repay the loan and you put an asset down to fall back, they will come and take that asset. If you can't pay your loan back, which is the natural way, you lose your house, you lose your car. If you have another house and you use that to get another mortgage, you might lose that house. So a lot of you guys are worried about CCP influence. I'm personally too. I'm very political and I'm very direct when it comes to that. And I much rather live under American influence because America has its good, it has its bad, but it's so much better than communism. Just looking at what happened in China during the last crisis was incredible. I had friends in Vietnam, which is also a communist country, that were blocked into an apartment for weeks. They could not get out.
Right.
They put security down there because there were a few cases of COVID. Now imagine it. They were not allowed to get in and out. Not even food delivery was allowed. It's a criminal act. And so we have people now that are looking to leave Asia because of these past experiences. And they like want to live in a country that is more, I want to say, respectful to its citizens. And they not suppress people too much, not too authoritarian. Like the last crisis was a serious health crisis. And I don't blame Italy for its lockdowns because Italy has an aging population. And so Italy did what it had to do to protect its own citizens with certain restrictions, lockdowns, which makes sense. If you have an aging population, right, people are more vulnerable.
Right.
But if you live in a country where the median age is relatively low and people don't have health implications, then there's just a lesser chance or to a lesser extent for people to get seriously impacted by something like a virus, right? In Austria, we had hardcore lockdowns, even a vaccine mandate that I did not agree with.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that beforehand, like in the specific times that we have just lived through, no one knew exactly what they were going to get into. I was pretty, as a young person, okay with everything that happened. But the thing is that everyone wants to shelter their, like shield their parents and their relatives. And also like, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And then now that we have so many new information and, complete information about the virus, COVID-19 that just happened, and that's when we really are able to just manage our freedom at best. I do see your point of view with that for sure, just because you're exposed a lot more than I am to people that are against a certain system. So let's say the CCP. Here, we're not as exposed. So I feel like even, resuming old memories about communism and fascism doesn't really resonate with me a lot, just because I feel like I do, if you want to talk politics, like modern politics. So, parties in Italy, I am open to that. And I'm very politically opinionated as well. I do not agree with, like relying on old political influence. Like I do agree on new political, like shifts. I do like have an opinion on that. But as far as communism and fascism and all that, I have an opinion, of course, but we have not been as exposed as communism as the other parts of Europe. We have been a very fascist influence, which was not very appreciated by many people. And that leads to some people still leaning toward communism more than fascism. But if you polarize in that terms, communism and fascism, you're never going to win in favor of fascism, never. You're always going to win in favor of communism. But I don't think that's something that anyone wants to hear. And that doesn't mean that we have a CCP influence at all. It just means that we really had a really bad experience with other, with the dictatorship, as all of this side of Europe has had. So since we had that strong experience with dictatorship and fascism, we are less inclined than the US to point the finger towards CCP and communism. Okay? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it certainly does. And like I pointed out, so many people are looking to leave countries and The last crisis was, there were certain countries that did what they had to do to protect their citizens' health. So I'm not completely like polarized here either. I take kind of like a center approach.
Right.
But I don't agree with countries that lock down entire buildings, entire buildings and let their citizens starve.
All right.
Or residents or that forcefully jab people. I'm also not for that. So I take more of like a center approach.
I agree with that.
In that sense, but there are many people, like I just now had a friend move out of China. It was a horrible time for him. They locked down entire buildings and cities for tremendous amounts of time, and he was so glad when he could get out of there. So, but then there were countries that took kind of like a center approach where they looked after the older people.
Right.
And that's sensible, especially if you have an aging population as it's in Europe. And so I'm not super polarized here either, but I'm definitely against saying that locking down entire buildings and letting people starve, not allowing them to leave. I mean, that's crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think everything has to be, regulated. And we had a really good emergency legislation that helped us protect each other and our elderly community. Thank God those are past times. And I do not disagree hugely with how the government handled things in Italy. I've never had an experience in that period of time with the Eastern countries, so I do not know about that. But I do know that I am kind of proud of how Italy handled that time.
Me too.
So, but...
Well, I appreciate your input on this. So if you guys have any questions, thoughts you want to share, please leave a comment below and we'll sure answer them. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.